Hello, and welcome to Morph Minutes, presented by Studio M Financial. Studio M Financial exists to help you change the sound of your money through financial education and coaching. I am your host, Katrena Pitts, instructor and financial coach. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Morph Minutes with your host, Katrena Pitts from Studio M Financial here in Dallas, Texas. And I want to thank you for your time today. We have another great podcast for you, and I have a returning special guest. His name is Bert Delgado from Vivid Financial Counselors. And I'll let Bert introduce himself here momentarily. But again, we just want to thank you for your time today. And we're going to dive into some things that are holiday related. So don't turn us off. I realize it's September, but we have some really good information for you today. So Bert, can you take a few minutes? One, welcome. Can you take a few minutes to talk to our listeners about yourself and what you do with Vivid Financial Counselors?
Hey, Katrena, thanks for inviting me again.
Absolutely.
September, still hot and humid, but before we know it's going to be the cool winds of winter, right? And
Indeed.
Christmas is going to be upon us. And before Christmas, we have Thanksgiving, and we have Halloween, and we have this, and we have that, and we have birthdays and anniversaries, and we're still spending money, right?
Absolutely.
So thanks for inviting me on. Yes, my name is Bert Delgado. I am with Vivid Financial Counselors. Actually, I am the owner of Vivid Financial Counselors. And I love to talk about money. I love to take the myth away about money. I love to strategize and plan to use your money as opposed to you money managing you. So let's come. If you want to communicate, reach out to my website, vividfinancialers.com.
Yes, thank you. And you actually mentioned you hit a couple of milestones I wanted to kind of quickly give a little data point behind. So you mentioned Christmas, Halloween. We are 43 days from Halloween. We are 70 days from Thanksgiving, and we are 98 days from Christmas. And so it is there to me. It's, you may disagree with this, but once we hit Labor Day, it's almost like we will be in April before we know it, because everything is so fast once you hit Labor Day, just back to back. So we're getting into the thick of it, everybody. And so we wanted to bring some information to you. And as Bert said, kind of remove the myth, but also give you some strategies and things to think about as you were planning for the holiday season. So let's jump into it. And I will double down and say it is not too soon. I already saw Halloween decorations going up in my local Kroger before Labor Day. Before Labor Day, they were putting up Halloween decorations. So if they're thinking about it, we should be thinking about it as well. So let's get started. I want to start with the first thing I want to do is talk about boundaries. And I thought about this in the sense of how do we start setting some healthy boundaries with and expectations with ourselves, with our friends, with our families, of things that we want to do for the holidays, what our goals and ideas are for those. So how do we start having those healthy conversations and those expectations with people for the holidays? Let's talk about that.
I think that's a great topic, setting boundaries, right? Understanding what your cash flow is. How much money do you have planned already for the holidays or the events that are coming up? And if you don't have anything coming up, maybe this is the year to start setting those boundaries and expectations. Are you a person that's expected to give everything to everybody, a little bit to some and a little bit over there? But
Sure.
the idea is that you manage your money, you manage your time, you plan that expense, not wait till January after it's on the credit card and you're saying, oh my God, how am I going to pay for this, right?
Right. So let's talk about that for a second. So let's how we are planning for it, and hopefully myself included, and I would include you in this bucket, that we are starting to build the skill of planning our money and tying them to goals that we have set for our money. So if that's a savings goal, a retirement goal, fund money goal, travel goal, whatever it is, that as we are talking about our expectation boundaries with people, we start grounding those in the why we're doing this. This is why I'm setting some expectations for my money, because I want to accomplish this or I want to accomplish that. And I think that sort of takes you out of the middle of the conversation, right? That it's just you, but no, I'm trying to accomplish things with my resources. So what are your thoughts about setting those conversations around this is why I'm doing it, because I want to accomplish X with my money?
Exactly. You put it perfectly. It's what are your goals with your money? Listen, if your goals are to spend during Christmas and not worry about your vacation, or you don't mind reducing your grocery bill, come June or July next year, you're going to think about it saying, why don't I have enough money? Well, this is the time to start planning because this is the time of year most people spend the most amount of money outside of their fixed cost, right? Because everybody
Right.
wants to be giving, everybody wants to feel wanted, right? It's that wanted feeling because I gave someone, you want to make someone else happy. It's the time of year to take a look at yourself in the mirror and really talk to yourself and then bring in your partner because it's really the collaboration of the house, right? If you live by yourself, it's on you, right? You talk to yourself in the mirror. This is what I want to do. This is my plan. But if you have someone else in the house and then you have kids, it's a
Sure.
team effort. It
Yeah.
really is a team effort that it has to happen, right?
Yeah. And I would even say for a single person like myself, yes, I do talk to myself in the mirror on more than one topic, frankly, but I
I
also
have a question. Does the mirror respond?
it depends. It does, and it will tell you that is not what you're supposed to be doing, Katrina. And I will say you're right.
Good,
Yes, you're absolutely right. So it does talk
good.
back relative to me, but I would also recommend, and for single clients that I have and for myself, that you actually talk to somebody about that. Like if you have a good friend that you want to sort of walk along with you, because it is kind of a lonely road every once in a while when it's just you who is trying to do those things. So I would definitely encourage, even if you're single, have somebody to talk to. Hey, I was thinking about doing this. What do you think about that? What are your thoughts if I, sort of, rearrange, my goals, my budgets to kind of figure some things out, or I'm really kind of, I'm worried about how much money I'm going to spend, kind of help keep me accountable on what my plan is. And maybe it's writing it down and whatever, you can talk about that. Or, hey, come see a financial coach. We can also help you with that if you don't have anybody that in your circle of network that you can talk with. But definitely like start with yourself and then work around those stakeholders that are also a part of that budget. And even thinking about, I don't know if your job does this, but when I worked in corporate, we had like white elephant gifts that we would do for our teams and company, potlucks that we would do for holidays, especially for Thanksgiving or for Christmas. So even those things, kind of bringing all of that together in the picture of what are the responsibilities that I'm being asked to do for the holidays, and really start building those lists of priorities and really be strategic and intentional about how you go about that. But again, why are we doing this? Why are we making these choices? Why are we making these decisions? Because that's really going to be your driving force, right? And what keeps you
Yeah.
on target.
Definitely. There's a lot that you just mentioned that's so important, right? We are talking about the holidays coming up and that spending that's coming up. But this exercise could actually set you up for your 2026 budget.
Sure,
Remember,
for sure.
in my mind, the budget is that yearly plan that you have all your expenses and that's your budget. But then you have that cash flow that things change and alter as the month and weeks go by, right?
Right.
So this is a good exercise to start planning for your budget and then managing that cash flow as you're going along, right? And the other thing you mentioned is between being single and being married with kids and all that, but it's all starts right here. No matter how it is, it's what you said, right? And then you reach out to other people and get their ideas of how they're doing. One of the things I love using, and I don't know, they don't pay me or anything, but there's two banks that have buckets.
Okay.
Ally Bank, they call it buckets, and Citibank has something that they call the vaults. And what that is you have an account, right? XYZ, but within that account, you have your categories. And you can have your Christmas category, you can have your insurance category, you can have your whatever category that the revolving expenses, right? Because that's another topic is you have your fixed expenses, your mortgage or your rent, your electricity,
Right.
right? But then you have those revolving things that happen once or twice a year. Your car insurance, if you're not paying it monthly, you're paying it every 6 months or every year. What we're talking about right now, the holidays, right? Birthdays and anniversaries. Check that out in those banks and consider opening up those buckets where you can start saving to put money away for these expenses that are coming up.
Yeah, for sure. Great plan.
Bless you. You okay?
Excuse me. Yes, sorry about that. Had a tickle
That's
in my
okay.
throat that crept up on me. So sorry about that. Yes. Well, I think the I was getting a visual of that as you were describing it, those buckets, so you could see what you have allocated for each thing. I do think even if you're not a visual person, I do think that visual is really powerful of this is how my money is spent, this is how it's allocated, this is what it's designated for, versus we just have this giant pot of funds, which is fine. But I definitely think it helps you be more strategic in how you spend your money for sure. Um,
Exactly.
Okay, so we're starting to set some boundaries, and which is more conceptual, right, than like hard numbers of we're going to do this, which we'll get in that here in a moment, because I do want there to be practical, actionable things that we can direct our audience to do, or recommend or suggest our audience do. I don't want to be too prescriptive with it, but I don't want to just be conceptual. I want to say, okay, I can do this today. I can do that tomorrow. So one thing you should write down, not you, Bert, but one thing people should write down of what you said is look at those banks and see what it takes to, what is it to open one? You know, if there's locations, I think Ally Bank is mostly online, if not exclusively online.
Yes.
See what it would
Yes.
take to open one, transfer money, at least start educating yourself on banks that you could do that to if your bank doesn't do it, right? So if your bank is not set up that way and that makes sense to you, so you don't have to be the one to keep track of that, definitely do yourself the favor and make a note. Research banks that have this thing because you definitely want to set yourself up for success versus waking up on January and saying, oh my gosh, what did I spend? Right. Which sort of leads me to my second point, and I definitely want to get your thoughts on this. So we started setting boundaries, we've had conversations with ourselves, we started to look at our goals, or either started to look at the goals we've set or started saying, oh man, I really should work on setting some goals for what I want to do with my money. So putting those things together, and now would be a good time to do that. But I started want to get some strategies for saving, and then we'll get some strategies for planning. So let's look at some strategies for saving. And the way I thought about this, and not that this is anything novel, but I wanted to talk about how different spending personalities could make a plan to save. And so there's three that I want to talk through. The first one is the constant consumer. And I can fall into one of these first two actually I can probably be all three of these at some point, but the constant consumer, I'm a natural spender. I don't care
Mm,
how much the amount is. It could be
mm.
literally I am happy with Oreo an Oreo McFlurry from McDonald's or an Oreo Blizzard from Dairy Queen and it's $5 or a pair of, $200 shoes. It really doesn't matter to me. I just enjoy the gratification of being able to spend. So there's people who have that, but I don't want to miss out on anything. I have the extra income, so I spend it. Or if you're talking about technology people, I'm an early adopter, so I wanted the latest phone or the latest pair of sneakers or latest whatever. You can fill in the blank. I love experiences, instant gratification, but I struggle to manage my household obligations. Not that that part is me, but even if, well, it was at one point, so let's not lie about things. It was certainly me at one point. But how would you advise people who I am a constant consumer? I recognize this, but the other side of that is I maybe struggle to manage my money. How would you help them strategize for saving for the holidays?
For me, what I think works is for you to become aware of where your money's going. There's nothing wrong with buying this Oreo flurry or the shoes. The question is, are you aware how that affects the rest of your life? And that takes planning. And that means that we will sit down and we will go over all your income, your take home pay, and your expenses, and make sure you understand what that means. We're going to use a system called PowerPay. PowerPay is a free system out there from the state of Utah
Utah.
University. And it's a great, simple system to start becoming aware of where your funds are going. If you're not tracking it already, it's really simple to use. If you are tracking where your funds are going and you're still finding yourself in that predicament, it's really about sitting down, and the word is difficult, the discipline
Discipline.
and commitment, right? It's what is truly your goals. And that impulse, I'm going to call it an impulse,
Could be,
to
yeah.
buy the $200 shoes or the $5 McFlurry, take a step back, give yourself 10 seconds and just say, man, do I really want this right now? What is the opportunity cost? Am I giving up in order to do this? Because some people, or maybe yourself, are tight, right? You're tight on money,
Could be.
and that impulse to buy that McFlurry, man, it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I need that pick me up with sugar. No problem. But as long as you're aware of what's happening and aware what that means tomorrow or the next day, I'm okay with it. That's the type of thing. And I think it helps to understand where you're at writing things down, using PowerPay, using Excel, paper and pen, whatever it is that makes it easier for you to understand what your current cash flow is.
Right. And I would actually go, yes, definitely agree to all of that. What do you actually have coming in, especially if you were that struggling to mismanage your household obligations? If you aren't kind of on the other end, how do you start setting money aside? Because remember, 43 days from Halloween, 70 days from Thanksgiving, 90 days from Christmas. So if that is, I put $20 every week aside for that. If that's, I put $50 every week, whatever your disposable income is or isn't, that's up for you to analyze, right, and review what that is. Because this is sort of a separate part, but just back to that boundaries of people tend to overextend themselves in this holiday season. And you mentioned it because they want to give for people. They have a loving, giving, wonderful heart. And sometimes the resources may not be there to support all of the giving that they have in their heart. So how do they start balancing that? This is what I have, and not restrictive, right? But just self-aware of what you can and may not be able to do in that particular season. So setting money aside, and it's out of sight, out of mind. It just goes directly in there. So for the next 6 weeks, you are putting however many dollars you need to put aside for that regularly so that it's untouchable in a sense, right? It's particularly allocated back to your kind of buckets suggestion with your bank account. And I know we say this probably every single time. That's how we would advise our clients when they're making a big purchase for a vehicle or down payment for a house, do that. But I think there's something that happens in this holiday season that we forget it's the holiday season, and we're surprised by it every single time, even though it's the same time every year, that it's oh my gosh, it's December and now what do I do? And so we're trying to avoid panic mode. We're trying to avoid a frenzy of nerves and fear and anxiety and really let you enjoy your holidays, right?
Yep. And I think there are a couple things. So the first thing that you talked about is setting up that automatic savings, right? You get paid on the 15th or 31st or every Friday. There should be an automatic transfer out of that account into another account, whether it's a bucket, whether it's another savings account, whatever account it is, but it's automated. Then there's the other topic. It sure is easy to go to the store and be as simple as get a gift card to
Yeah,
give as a gift. It takes a little bit more to do something else. Maybe a nice letter.
yeah,
Maybe something that you create, something that you color, right? That starts now. It's also not a thing about the money, but what other types of gifts can you give besides
yeah,
something that you buy, right? Especially those that are close to you, they'll understand. And maybe it's as simple as a letter explaining to your immediate family, you know what, guys, I really need to change the way I'm thinking about money. I hope you understand. And you become a little bit of vulnerable, right, to
yeah,
those people close to you. They're going to understand more than maybe the person or the coworker at work. But even then, that coworker at work, instead of doing that $50 gift card, maybe it's got to be 25 or 20. But it
maybe.
really takes that discipline and commitment on your part and feeling comfortable with who you are with what you're giving, not
Agreed.
expecting for the other person to say, "Oh," and be all, and and make them all happy. It's okay. I understand. You first,
Agreed.
right? You
Agreed.
first.
Yeah, for sure. You first. And I do think, and you sort of touched on some alternatives that we'll get to here in a minute, but um, being open to doing things a little bit differently. And let me also be clear with this. This is not us saying don't give, don't be generous, don't be loving with your time and resource. This is not us saying that at all. We want you to, right? Like, please do show your love the way. If you are a gift giver and that's your love language, give your gifts, do what you do, acknowledge that you love your friends and your neighbors and your coworkers. Absolutely, please. We want you to have that joy. We just want you to do it in a way where you can enjoy doing the gift giving in a way that makes sense, right?
Exactly, because the gift giving is just not for the holidays. That gift, you might still be feeling it come June of next year because of whatever the amount spent is affecting your life in 2 or 3 months
Oh
from
yeah,
there,
true, true, true.
right?
There is
Yeah,
a good thing called credit card debt and interest and payments, all those things. So that tend to where people start feeling the regret for that, right? After the holidays
that's
are
right.
over, and they sense oh, I did too much. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. And that takes away from their love and their heart for giving. So we have to
That's right.
acknowledge that the planning, but also that back end part of that experience. And we want both parts of that to be enjoyable throughout the holiday season. So we are cheering. We're standing with you. We just want to give you some tips and some tools to be able to do that. So that's the
We want you to be happy all year long.
all year long. Agreed. Because you love giving, and that's a part of who you are. So you should get joy out of doing that. Okay, so that was the first person, the constant consumer. The second person is the ponderer. They are the sleep on it, then purchase. They, but they may take a long time to do that. They may sort of that analysis or paralysis by analysis. So let's talk about some thresholds to actually decision making of, and you can even, kind of put this in the I've built up all this money, but I don't really want to spend it kind of a
Mhm.
philosophy and an approach to things. So, what are some tips that we can share with our audience on how do we make decisions to make those purchases if we are kind of stuck in our own heads about the financial implications of it? Because one is not thinking about it. The constant consumer may not be thinking about it. And then we'll talk to the next person here in a second. But you're in that ponder and analytical phase. What would our suggestions be to them?
Someone that ponders and takes that step. We talked about a little while ago about the planning, right? I'm going to be honest with you. My wife and I, we are shopping for the holidays throughout the year. Why? Because we're looking at the specials that are happening. We're looking at the prices. We hear what our, like my daughters, what they want, and they give us our list. They still give, my daughters are 33 and 28, right? But I still ask for the Santa Claus list, and they don't get everything on there, but that helps us either for the following birthday or
Yeah,
even the following year, and we start looking for those things. Shopping for Christmas should be a year-long thing. Don't wait for the Black Friday and the mad rush, because then you're just buying in a rush. Again, it takes that planning and thinking about it. And the person that's pondering it, that's great. You have
yeah,
all year,
yeah,
right? You have all year to think about it. And it might be too long, but it's better than feeling that pondering in December 1st and you're 20 days away and you're still thinking about it. And then you feel stressed. Oh my God, I gotta get something done. And that's called impulse buying.
yeah.
And that's when you spend more money than you plan.
Absolutely. Um, and I would also say one of the strategies is, and I've talked about this before, maybe not directly to you, but sort of maybe around it, is give yourself almost like your decision tree. Like, how am I, is this over, $50? If it is, yes, give myself, 36 hours to think about it. And so at 36 hours, if I still want it, great, get it. If I don't want it, then what is my alternative? Or do I need to consult with anybody else to do this? No, I don't. So if I don't need to do this, then kind of working through it that way. So giving yourself this sort of, you're already a thinker. So give yourself something to help guide that thinking so that you don't just go, oh my gosh, what do I do? How do I manage this? I've built this money up. Now what do I do with it? Give yourself some questions that you can ask. Is there an alternative? If there's not an alternative, then this is the gift that we're going to get. So this is how we make that decision and are comfortable with spending that money. Now that we've thought about it and planned for it, we can now go forward with it, with the actual purchase of it. Does that make sense?
That's right. That makes sense. Total sense. Yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
Give yourself some guidance that makes you feel comfortable with that. And talk through it with people. If you, again, don't have anybody that's in your circle that you can do that, find somebody, find a counselor, find a friend, find a podcast leader that you listen to, and you can send an email to them. Find some, right? The resources are there. Find someone on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever. Find somebody to say,
That's
hey,
right.
I'm trying to work through this and I've listened to you. So can you give me some guidance on that? Okay, so
Excellent.
person number three is or before I move on, did you have any other comments on person number two, the ponderer?
Nope. I think you hit it all. We hit it all great.
Okay, so person number three is the talk yourself out of it person. They have
Mm.
a fear of scarcity. They are trying to prevent overspending, and they don't want to either um, lack of funds, wish they had more, and they talk themselves out of it because they're like, if I spend it now, then I won't have any more for the future or other things. Yes, your cost benefit analysis kind of comes in there and opportunity cost, but there really is a paralyzation that they have of I'm just going to talk myself out of it, so they do nothing. So
Hmm.
how can we help them the note I wrote down was identifying needs and wants. Like, what do we
Hmm.
actually need? What do we
Hmm.
actually want? And then kind of moving from there. But what would be your recommendation for those people who are the talk myself out of it?
Yeah, you hit it just perfect, right? What are your needs and wants first, right? And then before giving, make sure you set your boundaries up there also, right? If and it might be too late now, but start thinking about next year already. Start saving for next year and set yourself those guidelines, the guardrails that we talked about at the beginning.
Sure.
I'm going to spend $10 on each child,
Hmm.
and that's it, and you shouldn't feel guilty. And when you reach that goal, you should feel good about it. And then you can still make a decision whether you're going to spend $10 on each kid or $8 on each kid. Then you're managing it. You're planning for it.
Yeah.
The money's not driving you crazy, right?
Right.
Because you might say, December next year, I wanted to spend $10 on each kid, but you know what? The grocery bill has gone up or our insurance has gone up. I need to take a little bit of money from here to pay over here. That is what cash flow is about. You
Yeah.
know what the budget is. You're supposed to send, you have 3 kids, $10 each, $30. But you know what? Along the year, things change, right? That's how you manage the money. You plan for your money.
Right. Right. And I would even say, even for if you are a higher income earner also, these still apply to you. You can still take these same principles for the plane. And yes, your bucket might be bigger, potentially, depending on what you have going on in your budget, but these still apply to you of how can you steward those funds well and love your family and love your friends and do the things that you need to do. So this is I don't it's just irrespective of income, right? Irrespective of it. There's still
Exactly.
planning. You're planning $100, you're planning $100,000, you're planning $1 million, whatever. There's still thought and consideration that should go into it.
And into the plan, exactly. How many times have you heard the story of the high income earner that comes to retirement time and they have no money?
Yeah,
But you hear the person that doesn't, that's a little more modest, a little more humble, and they have $1 million in the bank.
yeah,
Money doesn't matter. It's how
right.
you manage the money,
How you manage the
right?
money,
It's not the amount.
for sure. But we should talk about the amount, and this is sort of where the action steps come in. And we've sort of sprinkled this in here throughout the entire discussion. But my next note was a strategy for planning, and this is
Mm.
sort of changing the view and of assessing needs and wants. So how many? I wrote down how many question mark, how much question mark. So how many people? Because this goes back to what I said earlier. We have so many different places that we are asked to participate in things, or we are voluntold we're going to participate in things. And so sometimes it's the family, you put the name in the hat and you draw the person and you have that one person because you have a very, very large family, or your white elephant gifts that you have at your respective jobs. And if both of you are working, that's two jobs now, that are two gifts that you have to get to participate in.
Hmm.
How many people are we actually going to designate as gift recipients, and what things we're going to participate in. And sometimes it may be your second cousin may not get the gift this year, or it could be, we cut it off that we're just doing, if you're a grandparent, we're just doing grandkids, right? We're skipping the kids in between because the kids are doing things amongst themselves. So we're just allocating towards the grandkids, or we're just allocating towards the kids, and we're not doing anything with any other, family member, but whatever. So how many people, and really, pen and paper. I know I've been swinging around pen on this podcast, but pen, pen and paper, write it down. Who, Aunt Louise, Uncle Leroy, cousin Sadie, grandma, whatever. How many people? And you start really looking at that, going, do I actually know that person? Do I actually want to do that for that person? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, they're a bubble person, and it sounds very clinical. It sounds very restrictive. But again, how are you going to allocate your money? So, any thoughts on the how many people part, and then we'll get to the how much per person because that's the next part. So, how many people?
So before I get into people and money and all that, there's this saying that I love to use.
Okay.
Don't expect, accept. And that means both ways, right? Don't expect to give everybody, accept what you can give. And they have to accept you as who you are. And if they're
Interesting.
expecting something from you, maybe there needs to be a little communication there. And
Interesting.
like you said, the family right? The family you have a closer relationship, you can be a little more vulnerable with than maybe the person at work. But you have to accept who you are and where your situation is right now. Because at the end of the day, yes, it's great to give, but like we talked about a little earlier, come January or February, you don't want to feel regret
Correct.
about buying things, right? You
Right.
want to be able to feel good about it, not only when you're buying it, but when you're handing it to the person and 2 months later, right? So that's really about accepting who you are and what your situation is. So, how many people? It all depends on your cash flow, right? It depends what you have available for you. You got to pay your mortgage, you
Please
got to
do.
pay the car loan,
Please
you got
do.
to pay the electricity, you
It's
got to
all
eat
that.
food. And
Yes.
if you have kids, right, you got to take care of all the kids in the school and it. What's left over, right?
Okay.
You really need to understand what your budget is. So for you, it might be 5 people. For me, it might be 3 people,
Could be.
right? Because we're different and we think of differently. And maybe I'd rather spend, I don't know, $100 on one gift for my daughters as opposed to you might want to spend $200 on your grandma,
Yeah.
right? So it really is about understanding what your situation is, accepting that, and maybe you even have to communicate that out a little bit because this is the year of change.
Yeah.
This it starts now.
Yeah.
This is the time to do it right
For
now,
sure.
right?
For sure. Okay.
So I didn't really answer your question, but I hope you got the understanding of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I don't think there's a kind of to your point. I don't think there's a hard number. You we're only going to do two. We're only going to do three. I do think it all goes together, right? All of your budget information, your cash flow information, your goals, all the things that you're trying to do will inform, right, and help you make those decisions as to what your holidays will look like with your friends and family. And really, just in general, it's a data point that you can apply to this decision making process. So no, I wasn't looking for any sort of hard number. And to be honest, we've been very agreeable in this podcast for the duration of it. So if there's any sort of conflict or dissent, that's perfectly fine. Also, we can't be, two peas in a pod the entirety. No one
Maybe
wants
we
to
need
be.
to find a nice conflict point, that way
I
people will come in,
know.
oh, look at the drama, look at the drama.
I
There's reality
know.
there.
I can't even pull a sports analogy because the Cowboys are iffy this year, and Tampa Bay is
Let's not
doing
talk
great.
about football.
Oh,
The Dolphins are,
oh,
I don't,
Miami, yeah, y'all are on the struggle bus. Y'all are for sure on the struggle. I'm worried about your coach. I'm worried about, well, not really worried, but I'm mindful that your coach may not be your coach for the duration of the season. You've got some real locker room issues with people who may or may not want to be out of the locker room, and yeah, y'all are definitely
I
struggling.
still call it the Joe Robbie, what is it called? Joe Robbie spirit, the Joe Robbie curse, I guess. Joe Robbie was the original owner of the Dolphins, and ever since moving to the new stadium. Well, it's not a new stadium anymore, but the stadium that they're at now,
Yeah.
it's all just been really tough.
Oh, hey, just go up the road. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they seem to be
Yeah,
doing good things this season. Hitch your wagon to Baker Mayfield and Co. and
yeah.
get to it.
But our Panthers are doing great. Hockey's doing great.
Oh, okay. Well, I was about to say Carolina Panthers are not doing great, but okay, your
No,
hockey team.
no, hockey. Our Panthers in hockey.
What's their city? What's their city that they're out of?
Panthers.
Yeah,
They're out of here, out of Fort Lauderdale. They're just the arena's down the street from me.
yeah, but
It's
what's
in
the?
Sunrise, Florida. They're in Sunrise, Florida, but I think they still call them no, they're called the Florida Panthers.
There you go. That's what I
No,
was trying to figure out. What are
I think
they?
they're called the Florida
Florida
Panthers.
Panthers?
Yes.
Okay, because I was like, it's not Jacksonville. That's not it. It's not. I couldn't think of what their actual like
Someone's
Dallas.
going to correct me. Someone's going to correct me.
Yeah, throw it throw it in the comment section. Tell Bert what his actual hockey team is, because I certainly can't help him with that one. So yes, we'll find conflict somewhere. Sports might be it, or we just may be two people crying on each other's shoulders about how terrible their
Yeah.
local teams are. One of the two. So how many? So then how much, right? So strategy for planning. How much is this a per person? Kind of back to your point, we're going to spend $10 per person. We're going to spend $20 per person. Or is this we have our bucket? Kind of back to that bucketing thing that we talked about earlier for the banks. We have X amount of dollars. It's $1,000, $500, $300, $200 million, whatever that we are going to spend, and this is allocated. And however it's divvied up, it doesn't have to be equal. It doesn't have to be perfectly divided, but however it is spent, this is what we're working with. So what are your thoughts on either of those? I know we can use both, but kind of your thoughts on either of those.
For me, my initial thought is, what is the bucket, right? Start with what is the total guardrail? What is the boundary? What is the budget, right? And then within that budget, how much you want to allocate to each person. Really, and it shouldn't be on, this is my mom, she deserves more than my neighbor does. It really should be is, what do they need? What do you want to give them? Right? Maybe your mom doesn't need the $200 pair of shoes. Maybe what she really wants is a simple ceramic piece,
Yeah.
right? So it's really about starting with, this is my budget,
Okay.
and then dealing within that,
Okay.
right? And each person.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And every year it could be different. Your budget's $200 for Christmas, but maybe this year, mom really should, she just wants this little ceramic piece. Okay, you don't have to spend more just to try and prove to mom that you love her,
Okay.
right? Or to the neighbor, right? You're trying to make them happy. You want to make yourself happy, but it starts with that budget.
Right. No, I think that's right on. The only thing I would say, this is not a point of conflict. I will still find one somewhere. But is the only difference might be that kind of white elephant gift where they tell you, your maximum is at $15 or $10 or whatever
Yes,
it is, and that may have
yes,
been taking a hit. I don't know. It might be $20 at this point, but that
yes,
would be the only sort of caveat to that is you're sort of hard pressed into this is your maximum for that. And frankly, that's fine by me because I was a hit or miss whether I participated in those shenanigans because I don't want
yep,
terrible stuff at my house. I don't buy terrible things for other people. So I was
exactly.
non-participant for those and said, kids have fun.
I agree with you 100% there. That's right.
I don't need the shake weight. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so we talked about boundaries, which I think was informative for how we start saving and what that plan looks like. We've talked about various personalities and people, how they approach their money and strategies for that. Actual action steps of researching, different banks. If you like that bucketing idea, if your bank does that, great. Start setting that up so you can start recognize how much money that you want to start allocating towards different goals and different things you want to purchase. Giving yourself some decision making guidelines of this is how I'm going to chart out, especially if I get too stuck in my head. This is how I'm going to chart out deciding gifts and monies and planning and these kinds of things of that nature. And identifying wants and needs, actually, pen to paper, hands to typewriter, whatever it is. If these are things that I want, these are things I need, you're collating information. Start asking your family, what do you want for Christmas? What has caught your eye? What looks good to you? Is it, a particular restaurant you want to go to or a scarf that you really like, pair of earrings, whatever. Start gathering that information because that will also kind of help inform your budgeting and your spending of what you want to do and how that money's going to be allocated. And really this is data collecting, right? I'm getting
That's
information.
right.
I'm helping to make the decision for how my holidays, can and should
That's right.
go. The last thing I want to talk about, and you touched on it, and we have a few minutes left here because I still have a game for you. Um, the last thing I want to, it'll be an easy game, I promise. The last thing is alternatives, and we touched on it a little bit. You mentioned we may want to make things for our families, because you have that gene that's kind of artsy and craftsy and are really good at flower arrangements or wreaths, right? If that's kind of your thing, wreaths for the holidays for people making those. But a couple things that I wrote down were if there's service or volunteerism that you can do at a local organization, because I do hear from a lot of parents of we keep get our kids have more things than they need, and so we just sort of keep replacing and or not even replacing, but sort of adding to those. So maybe there's opportunity for instead of we're gift giving, we are time giving and we are effort giving, and so we're taking whatever that would have been and we are now going to go and serve, as being a part of our communities and local organizations in their toy drives or in their gift giving things that they're doing, wrapping gifts for their people or purchasing gifts for those people. Angel Tree, we have those here in Dallas. We have other organizations that are Angel Tree like, right, for school systems or what have you. So some alternatives that you can participate in lieu of other ways to give gifts. Thoughts about that?
While you're saying all that, the word that keeps popping out isn't creating a memory, a valuable, great gift, right?
Yeah.
Creating those memories, going and doing all those things you talked about. That's a gift not only to the community, but also a gift to each other and participating in events like that. That's beautiful. I think that's
Yeah.
a great idea.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't have to be arts and craft or writing a letter. Go to an event together, right? Even Christmas Day or Hanukkah, one of the days of Hanukkah, whatever it is. Instead of giving a gift, give a gift to the community.
Yeah. Make a memory
That's
for sure.
that's a great idea. Create a memory. I love
Love it.
that.
No, I didn't think about it in those terms. I made the note and put a little heart next to it, creating a memory, because that will certainly be much more lasting than the item or the food or whatever. It's still memorable. Let's not uh,
Yes. Yes.
dismiss that. It's still very memorable, still very appreciated. But the alternatives, what are other things that we can do if we really are in a situation because of circumstances or wherever we find ourselves that monetary thing may be a challenge. What are other ways that we can experience the holidays with the people we love and people that we care about? So that was really the point of that. Okay,
Yeah, that was great.
are you ready? This is a
I'm
money
ready.
question. Okay, it's 5 questions and it's true or false, and I feel like
Okay.
you're gonna nail it. Okay, um,
Okay.
and this is holiday shopping related. True or false? First question: true or false? Setting a holiday shopping budget is pointless because you'll always overspend on gifts anyway.
False.
Ha! You nailed it. A budget helps you prioritize spending and avoid overspending, keeping your holiday finances in check. Bert is 1 for 1. Question 2: true or false? Using a credit card for Christmas shopping is fine as long as you pay off the full balance before the billing cycle ends.
Oh, that's a trick question. The I think my opinion is a true,
Okay.
but do you need to use the credit card?
Hmm.
Um, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what the positive parts are about using a credit card. Right? One, credit score, maintaining or advancing your credit score.
Okay.
Two, depends on the credit card you're getting, whatever rewards you might be getting. Although I'm not really in favor of these frequent flyers and these credits that you get, I'm in favor of cash reward credit cards. Um, so tough answer. It's the mixed answer, but you need a right or wrong. Read me the question one more time.
Using a credit card for Christmas shopping is fine as long as you pay off the full balance before the billing cycle ends.
So I'm going to say true.
Okay. You are 2 for 2. It says paying off the balance in full avoids interest charges and can even earn rewards if used responsibly.
Correct. That's the key word. Use responsibly. Agreed. Yes.
Yes, I like your cash rewards um, shout out as well because I haven't done the full deep dive on the information, but I am not a complete buy-in to the rewards programs that credit cards offer because I tend to feel like people spend more because they're trying to get the points for things that they were probably
Exactly.
just going to buy anyway. They're probably
Exactly.
not a 1 for 1 type of thing. So I am a little leery of that. Okay, 2 for 2. Number 3, true or false? Buying all your holiday gifts on Black Friday guarantees you'll save the most money.
False. False, 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 false. Look at Labor Day sales. Look at 4th of July sales. Look at after season sales.
Hmm.
Uh, it, it- to me, it's false.
Okay, you are 3 for 3. Black Friday deals aren't always the best. Comparing prices and shopping strategically throughout the season can save more. All right, so far you are at 100%. We have 2 more questions. So true or false? Question number 4, true or false? Saving a small amount each month starting in January can make holiday shopping less stressful by December.
Yes, true, except I would start it today. But yes,
Okay.
your statement is true. Yes, your statement is true.
I think they meant like January 2026 for December
Yes,
2026. Yes, but for sure, yes,
yes,
definitely
true.
start today. And it says setting aside even $20 to $50 monthly can build a holiday fund, reducing financial strain. 4 for 4. Are you ready for the final one?
Get shy, shoot it to me.
Okay, question number 5. True or false? You can deduct the cost of Christmas gifts from your family, or excuse me, let me start over. You can deduct the cost of Christmas gifts for your family from your taxes as a charitable donation.
Are you saying that you're going to give a charitable donation in the name of your parents?
No, saying that whatever you spend for your family in gifts, you can write it off of your taxes as a charitable donation.
No, false. I'm going to say false.
Nailed it. 5
I'm
for
not a
5.
tax expert, but that doesn't sound right.
Correct. Gifts for family or friends aren't tax deductible as they don't qualify as charitable donations. And then you have to have an actual tax ID number for your for your charities as well that they will give you, and they'll give you like the fair market value for it or whatever your cash donation is. So there's actual paperwork that goes along with this for those charitable
Correct.
donations. I'm not a tax expert either, but I do know this just from church giving and other nonprofit giving that you've done. And every single time, do you want a receipt for that? No, I'm good, thank you. So
Yeah.
that is true. That is absolutely correct. False. So you were 5
All
for 5.
right.
I told you would nail
All
it.
right. All right.
You're smart. You nailed it. So we're going to wrap that up. We're going to leave it there. So today we've talked about planning for the holidays, and we understand that it's September and you may feel like you're already behind the 8 ball and going, oh my gosh, it's in 98 days. Relax. Start now, make your plan, and work your plan. And then, as we said, you can do things very differently in 2026. But in order to do that, then we have to start building a new framework now in 2025. So you've got this. Bert Delgado from Vivid Financial Counselors. Bert, give your information one more time to our listeners as a quick reminder.
Sure. vividfinancialcounselors.com or Bert, BERT, at vividfc.com.
Perfect. And I will put that in the comment section once we post this podcast as well. So you have his contact information and how you can track Bert down if you want his services. Again, I am Katrena Pitts from Studio M Financial. Both of us are financial counselors and financial coaches in the financial space, and we love working with individuals. I specifically work with small business owners who are working to move and become more financially stable as they're moving from their 9 to 5 into their small business ownership. As well. So we definitely have entrepreneurship in mind. Bert was a small business owner at one point in his former life as well. So we love business, and maybe we'll do a podcast in the future of just what it means to be a business owner in private practice as well. So stay tuned for that one. But again, I'm Katrena, and for Bert, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our podcast today. I hope you walked away with some actionable steps and things to consider for who you are, where you are in your personal journey in your finances. And if there's anything we could ever do for you with Vivid Financial Counselors or Studio M, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We would be so very happy and honored to assist you along your way. And with that, we will say until we meet, keep working on the change.
Thanks, Katrena.
We at Studio M Financial appreciate you for taking time out of your day to listen to us. If you have any comments or questions related to today's content, please feel free to send those our way. The email address is letstalk@studiomfinancial.net, or you can connect with us on social media. If you would like to be notified of future podcasts, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Studio M Financial. As always, until we meet, keep working on the change.